a massive $10 trillion crypto game changer is closer than you think. Hi all, welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. Again, I thank you for the love and support on the most recent video. This video, we're going to dive in a little more into that Blackrock private fund that they've launched and the potential implications for the market, as well as some other crypto news across the space. So what this article is referencing is something that I touched on in a previous video, but a sudden boost or a demand shock to the price of assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, XRP, Solana, HBAR, etc. could be around the corner. So recently, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other major cryptocurrencies have seen a huge shift in sentiment over recent weeks, with prices rising. We've had several weeks of daily closes or weekly closes higher and higher. Bitcoin has added around 20% since this time last month, with Ethereum making even larger gains as analysts warn a 100-pound gorilla is getting closer by the day. The price of other major cryptocurrencies, including Ethereum, BNB, XRP, etc., have also bounced back from their recent lows. Now, what's happened, obviously, is a shockwave through the space has been created effectively by BlackRock, who is a very large asset manager, in fact, the largest in the world. They have launched a spot Bitcoin private trust, opening up the Bitcoin and crypto market to the $10 trillion of assets under management for those US institutional clients. Despite the steep downturn in the digital asset market, they are still seeing substantial interest for some institutional clients in how to efficiently and cost-effectively access these assets using our technology and product capabilities. And that was from BlackRock themselves. Despite a flood of bullish news and huge Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto price predictions that point to Bitcoin's fair value, the crypto market is still reeling from a $2 trillion crash that has sapped investor confidence and fed fears some big cryptocurrencies could follow the algorithmic stablecoin 𝗟𝗜𝗟𝗏 and its support coin Luna into complete collapse. Demand for Bitcoin among Wall Street's power players has effectively decoupled from prices in the broader crypto markets, Alex Adelman says, the chief executive of Bitcoin rewards app Lolly. The unflagging interest in Bitcoin by BlackRock and its sophisticated institutional clients, even amid a market downturn in crypto at large, reflects a heightened, nuanced understanding of Bitcoin's global long-term importance among market-moving players on Wall Street. BlackRock's launch of a Bitcoin private trust potentially means that it will be directly in competition with digital asset manager Grayscale, the world's largest cryptocurrency investment vehicle, and follows news other Wall Street stalwarts are increasingly open to offering Bitcoin and crypto market access. And when it refers to stalwarts, it's talking about other players, other investment banks, think of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, etc. The message which BlackRock has sent to other institutions cannot be underestimated and is a significant milestone for the whole crypto industry. Last month, London-listed $900 billion asset manager Schroders acquired a minority stake in a blockchain and digital asset-focused Fortius, the asset manager arm of Swiss firm Numeus Group, in a move that could allow it to offer tokenized funds to investors. So what we can effectively see here is that millions of dollars of assets under management, as I've spoken before, for these private institutional clients could potentially start to flow into the crypto markets. Put that in perspective, the highest total market cap we saw in the crypto markets at the peak in sort of November time was $2.5 trillion. BlackRock themselves have 5 times that of assets under management than the highest figures we saw in the crypto markets previously. Even if we saw a fraction of that flow across back into the cryptocurrency markets of that 10 trillion they have, we could see severely heightened prices. And this is the general trend we're seeing from institutions now, that they are serious about cryptocurrencies and are looking to get on board by whatever means necessary, and that is being backed up by the clients they have. Some other news just in as well. CYPRUS grants REVOLUT authorization to offer crypto services across the European Economic Area to 17 million users. Now, REVOLUT is a sort of big, I wouldn't call it a challenger bank, sort of throughout Europe, that offers different services with very low fees, and obviously also offers the ability for its clients to purchase things like crypto as well as stocks and shares through their custodial services. However, this again reduces those barriers to entry for existing customers that aren't as tech savvy to enter the cryptocurrency market, so bullish nonetheless. Wanted to cover some information about Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of what's happening in the markets at the moment. There is still obviously a lot of uncertainty. People don't know whether we're going to be moving upwards or downwards. Personally, I don't actually care. I'm in this for the long term. However, if we look at the D3 RSI breakout, in every RSI breakout we've had previously, it had tested 4 times before it truly broke out. It has now completed the 4-time test already, and a breakout is awaiting according to the RSI metric, which is in short a metric which determines whether a particular asset is being overbought or oversold. And what we can see here is when we've had these 4-time breaks previously, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we get a breakout to the upside with positive momentum for the price. And apparently we're on the 4th break now, or just over the 4th break, the 5th break in this cycle. So we may see a move back towards the upside of the previous all-time high. Again, take all of this with a pinch of salt. These markets are irrational, and they can remain irrational longer than you can remain liquid. Ethereum has closed as well back over its 20-week moving average, or exponential moving average, after a very familiar correction. Positive implications for the altcoin market may follow. And again, similar thing on the RSI here, we can see you've got these sort of 4 different major hits on the simple moving average for the RSI, and then kind of on that 4th hit you see a breakout with positive momentum towards the upside, and something similar is playing out again as we speak. Of course, there is a lot of demand at the moment for Ethereum and other altcoins, as that transition from proof of work to proof of stake is looking to go live somewhere around the middle of September. Of course, there isn't a confirmed date because it is to do with the hash rate on the current algorithm. If we look at the Fear and Greed Index, we have pulled back slightly from yesterday. We were at a 47 in neutral. We are now roughly at a 45. We are still sort of in a fear to neutral territory. Again, if we look at the max for the all-time chart, or if I flick over to a 1-year chart, we can see we are significantly more positive than we were back in June, where we hit those lows of 6. So there is still some positive attitude or positive sentiment around cryptocurrencies. And again, a lot of that is being reflected from rising equities prices in the United States, because they are starting to see cooling inflation, or at least that's what the latest numbers from July compared to June, so month over month. There has been an inflation reduction, and a lot of investors now will be waiting to price in the Fed's latest news whenever that comes out to do with interest rates. Of course, a lot of this is on a much wider macro scale at the moment, particularly when the global economy is facing a recession. The head of Binance in Latin America says a rise in worldwide inflation is pushing investors into buying Bitcoin. And I wouldn't say just Bitcoin, that's probably a lot of other digital assets as well. People are trying to escape these crazy high inflation rates we're seeing globally, in the region of 10, 15, 20%. In some of the Latin American regions, it's even higher, it's upwards of 80%, with predicted forecasts of it ending the year at somewhere around 100%. Bitcoin has just surpassed 20.5 billion in trading volume in the past 24 hours. Obviously, this is a very high metric, showing there is a lot of buying and selling happening currently of Bitcoin. However, there is also another metric which could be indicating that this is negative pressure on the price, and that is that a lot of Bitcoin has been entering exchanges from cold wallet storage. Now, typically the only reason you'd be transferring your coins from cold storage across to an exchange is usually to sell them or buy a different asset. So we could be seeing some more negative momentum for Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency markets if that trend continues. Now, moving on to some HBAR news. HBARVOX is the latest thing that's come up and around, and it's an interesting one. So HBARVOX is the decentralized voice of the HEDERA community. It's a simple mechanism. You send HBAR with a memo, and the memo gets tweeted. A queue is formed, and messages are sent out at the defined frequency. They'll start with 1 tweet per hour and slow it down after a few days for the sake of relevancy. The goal is to build a strong audience and become a key decentralized channel in the HEDERA community, a channel that can be used by community members, projects, and new entrants as a fair and efficient tool to interact with the HEDERA community as a whole. This is a social finance experiment and a nice social showcase of HEDERA's efficiency and fairness. At launch, we have 2 other mechanisms that influence the way the platform works: the VOX token and the Frontrunner NFT. VOX is a fungible utility token. It's used to send a message through HBARVOX that bypasses the queue, and in V1 gets tweeted in the next 15 minutes. VOX will be distributed to successful bidders at a ratio that can be adjusted to maximize usability and prevent abuse. The initial VOX emission will be 0.1 VOX per tweet. Bidders that want to be able to receive VOX must associate the token. The Frontrunner NFT is an item to reward the first people and projects that are helping us to build our community and the audience that will be at the core of this decentralized social project. At any point, it can be redeemed for 1 VOX. Further down the road, we'll explore incorporating DAO elements to control social elements like frequency, follows, content guidelines, definitions, enforcements, etc. Whenever the platform wants to address the community, this will be at the top of the tweet /HBARVOX announcement. If this is typed within a memo, the message won't be added to the queue. Our initial content guidelines can be found here on their Medium article. They can be updated if the change makes sense to community and the project. So the TLDR is that tweet with HBARVOX by sending HBAR with a memo to the following address. Every hour, the top bidder gets tweeted and consequently removed from the queue. So you can see here, the user from the HEDERA account places a bid with a particular memo of their message. That enters a queue and then that gets tweeted, and you've got the VOX coin in between there to bypass the queue if it is used. Really interesting concept here. And of course, this is being made possible by the fact that gas fees on HEDERA are obviously fixed at that 0.001 cent level on average, making it really easy for a social experiment like this to run. If you tried to do something like this on another layer 1, it'd be almost impossible due to the high levels of gas fees. Think of Ethereum. This just wouldn't work, plain and simply. If we actually look at some of their different tweets that have come out showing that it appears to be working, one here an hour ago, the step function is right around the corner. Particular bid that came from that, good morning, was sent out. Good HBARVOX drink 𝗟𝗘𝗙𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗣𝗏. Yeah, so really interesting project. We'll see how this continues to develop. Again, this is a novel use case built on top of HEDERA that's taking advantage of those low fees. Interesting tweet here from 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗙𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦 that I wanted to share. Introducing friends to DeFi on HEDERA with SaucerSwap Labs is fun. Watching them experience the speed and low fees compared with centralized exchanges and having that wow moment is completely priceless. Hot DeFi summer. And again, if any of you haven't used SaucerSwap, I have 2 different dedicated tutorials showing you guys how to navigate and use the different features. However, of course, because it is natively built on top of HEDERA, it is really fast, efficient, and you've got really low fees as well with those transactions. Everything gets executed really smoothly. And many of you that have used decentralized exchanges or even centralized exchanges in the past will notice the difference of why being built on top of HEDERA is better than the rest. Many of you have been asking about the source token and the potential in the future. Now, of course, everything in cryptocurrency is inherently risky, and you need to make sure you're doing your own financial research and that you're also taking on the risk that you're able to tolerate. There's a big chance that majority of things could go to zero in the long term, and that is something you need to be aware of and plan for accordingly. However, I think I did touch on this in a previous video, but I wanted to reiterate. SaucerSwap is forming themselves at the center of the HEDERA ecosystem. To be more precise, they are the price oracle of the HEDERA ecosystem. So what this effectively means is that any of the information will be provided, things like prices, etc., from the SaucerSwap DEX will be relayed through many different apps throughout the ecosystem. So we can see here in this infographic, they've put together things like HBAR Suite, Creamies, you've got Dovu there, SHIBA, 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦, HBARVOX, etc. A lot of these look like they're going to be building on top of the SaucerSwap APIs, I presume, for things like price information, liquidity, TVL, all of that different information to help build up this ecosystem, which is crucial for developing those data pipelines, will be coming from SaucerSwap. So inherently, there will be a lot of demand for the SaucerSwap service. And if you put those things in tandem, there is a likelihood that that source token will be incorporated in this in some shape or form into the future. And of course, don't forget the SaucerSwap roadmap. There are things like single-sided staking coming for the source token. You've got games coming in the future. You've got DAO operations as well, where people obviously have a vote based on the source token. Tons of different utility for that native token to SaucerSwap. So if anything goes as history says, majority of those DEX tokens do tend to perform well in the long term, just because of how much utility gets placed around the native token on the platform. Something to be aware of, and obviously continue to do your own research. However, this is quite a bullish thing to see indeed from SaucerSwap being at the center. Quick update as well on STADER. So I mentioned before in a video last week or so, the new interface was in beta and now it has switched over. We can see here the all new look for the STADER HEDERA app has actually gone live, and a flick over, this is what the new interface looks like, with a greater emphasis on this DeFi tab over on the left hand side. Now, majority of these features look the same as before, so it should feel fairly familiar. We've got at the top the bar that's telling us what the current epoch rewards are throughout August on a daily rate, the current TVL, APY, the exchange rate between them, the total HBARVOX value in your wallet, what your HBAR is, etc. The staking feature is the same. However, we've got some additional information that goes back to how that price oracle of SaucerSwap is working. STADER, HEDERA obviously pulling liquidity information now from SaucerSwap Labs directly. So we can see here, get up to 179% yields. You can explore the different DeFi opportunities, and then these all link back to the SaucerSwap website, so SaucerSwap.finance. And of course, as the ecosystem continues to expand, there will be more and more different listings on this STADER interface with direct links to those different exchanges or dApps for you guys to use. And obviously, this also ensures as well that the links that you're clicking on are safe because they are being provided by the STADER community themselves. So what we can see here as well is the different pools at the moment. HBARVOX Galaxy 178%, HBARVOX 33%, Source HBARVOX 83.32%. And if you go to the DeFi tab, you can see this is really similar here as well. You can see the different liquidity pools. I'm sure these will continue to expand. If there's any more HBARVOX pools added in the future, you can click add liquidity or swap, and it will take you directly to the SaucerSwap platform in order to do so. Now, quickly to answer one question, I've had a few different questions recently about what's going on when you unstake. So the staking or withdrawal time now is 24 hours. So if you wish to unstake, what you need to do is click the unstake tab here. You'd enter the HBARVOX amount that you're willing to unstake. So you might click max, or you might enter a particular amount. You click on unstake HBARVOX. That's going to open up a transaction in your Hashpack wallet. You're going to pop your password in, sign the transaction or approve it. And then what you see here is HBAR will be available for 24 hours after unstaking. So as soon as you click unstake, that HBARVOX will disappear from your wallet because it kind of goes into an escrow contract with the STADER platform. So for 24 hours, your wallet will display 0 HBAR, for example, or 0 HBARVOX. After the 24-hour period has completed, under this active tab here, there'll be a withdraw button for the amount you entered in the unstake thing previously. After 24 hours, that will allow you to click that, you'd approve the transaction, and it will give you HBAR in return for the HBARVOX that you unstaked. You will no longer have any HBARVOX. It all gets converted back to HBAR at the exchange rate you see here. So if I had 40,000 HBARVOX for simplicity's sake, or 10,000 HBARVOX, that's then going to get multiplied by 1.1472, and you'll have slightly more HBAR than you originally put into the platform. And that's of course because you've earned those staked rewards, or that APY over a daily amount for the number of days that you've had it compounding in that pool. So hopefully that makes some more sense about how to do that. But the TLDR is that all your HBARVOX gets converted, and it takes 24 hours from unstake, and you manually have to click withdraw in order to receive the HBAR back. Okay, let's take a quick look as well at some other news. There has been an Australian US dollar incident with some on-chain analysis in this thread, and it's depegged, unfortunately. What happened to 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗦 during the hours of the incident and how much damage was done? The estimation of the damage is between 0 to 10 million USD, likely around 1.6 million USD with a chance of recovery. So what happened was the IBTC aUSD pool recently concluded a bootstrapping operation and began trading. It was incentivized with aUSD, ACA, and INTR tokens. It seems the incentives.claim rewards function, extrinsic in 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗦, wrongfully minted aUSD in exponential amounts. 1.3 billion aUSD was minted in error. While all attention was on one user who minted 1.2 billion aUSD, at the same time, a handful of other users exploited the situation by sending aUSD to Moonbeam, swapping for DOT, sending it to Polkadot, swapping for IBTC, and sending it to Interlay. The IBTC pool almost got completely drained, but the DOT pool could contain some of the value because it was a DOT to LC DOT pool, and users had to go through this route, which somehow mitigated the damage. Not understood why at the moment. The two users that profited the most were these two. They crossed out 165,000 DOT, which is about 1.5 million USD, and a 3.4 IBTC, which is around 82,000 USD. A few other users extracted value, but it's harder to tell if they were behaving with bad intent. I see a few bots that just arbed the hell out of the situation and sent a bit of it off 𝗟𝗏. Also, some opportunistic users tried to buy cheap aUSD. So we can see here there was basically an error with the smart contract that caused some users as well as arbitrage bots to mint a ton of different tokens in order to exploit the situation. And obviously that's caused a massive depeg with some lost funds as well. Again, it just goes to show you need to be very careful with the different sort of decentralized apps and tokens that you're interacting with or purchasing to ensure that they've been fully audited and there aren't holes in the code. Of course, this can happen to any platform that's even been audited. Unfortunately, no pen test or audit is going to capture everything that could potentially go wrong, but it's always something to be worth or something to have in the back of the mind. Again, I don't have to remind you of Luna and what happened with that death spiral. Rounding up then with some other news from across the space, we can see Binance has also been granted in principle approval to operate in Kazakhstan. Again, more users. The the crypto exchange, Hong Kong, Gate.io has been granted a virtual asset custodial service license in Hong Kong. 30,830 Bitcoin has been added to exchanges in the last 30 days. And we can also see here some more information about Tornado Cash is that unfortunately the creators of that, I believe, have been arrested at the moment, which just goes to show the US is cracking down on sort of private tools like that with the guise of security for the end investors, criminality, etc. Shiba Inu has reclaimed a $10 billion market cap. This could be insightful to see that maybe retail is flowing back into the markets, and that sort of degen trading side of it could continue again like we've seen previously. Anyway guys, that wraps up this video. If you did enjoy, leave a like, drop a comment if you've got something to say. I do try and respond to as many of them as I possibly can. And until the next one, I'll catch you then. Cheers.